Hello, and welcome to the AI Decision Maker Summit. My name is Nick with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our panel moderator. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our moderator, Sylvia Das Chagas, former senior AI conversation designer, CVS Health. We're really excited to have Sylvia and our panelists for a panel discussion titled Driving Talent with AI. Welcome, Sylvia. Over to you.
Thank you, Nicholas. I'm Sylvia Das Chagas. I was actually born and raised in Brazil until the age of 9. I am the co-founder of the Women in Voice for the Boston chapter, and I've been in the AI space for around 5 years or so, and I'm loving it. Really excited to be here. Now I would like to have our people here today to introduce themselves. So we have Misha and we have Satyaki. So can we please introduce ourselves?
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Misha Leybovich. I'm currently a product manager in Google Labs, building new AI products. Prior to that, I was at SpaceX. I worked at McKinsey, and I was an entrepreneur for 9 years with 2 different companies.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. So this is Satyaki. I'm Senior IT Solution Architect in Nestlé USA. I have overall 19 years of experience after completing my computer applications in India. I came back to US and I work here in multiple places, including places like Apple, Lyft, and these are the places where it gave me a lot of opportunities to learn on cloud, AI, ML, and my primary area is in AI, ML. Thank you everyone for joining this call.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive into a couple questions that we have. So let's talk about what impact will AI have on talent in the new year, whether it be hiring, retention. Can we discuss a little bit more? If you could all share some examples, that would be great too for the audience to know what is hiring is going to look like in this new year.
There you go. Sure, I'll kick it off. So, I think we've all seen, there's like surveys that say, oh, AI is going to impact, 40% of jobs or, and 80% of the tasks or whatever within X number of years. And there's no doubt that AI capabilities are getting better, more reliable, higher quality. Still, obviously, with problems, but it's evolving quick. When I think about hiring, it's like AI agents, which would be like an AI that can really be more autonomous, more self-directed, reason, plan, take action, are nowhere near close to reliable enough yet for business outcomes. And so jobs aren't going away, because unless you can replace 100% of what someone can do, you still need someone there. And even for a while, because technology perhaps evolves faster than human societies, organizations, and comfort does, it's still going to be a while to where we have humans, running the AI prompts, verifying the results, and ultimately taking accountability for what comes out. So I think that if you're talking about perhaps single purpose things like, oh, I was going to hire a copywriter to write me 10 taglines for a thing. Well, like ChatGPT is getting pretty good at that. It's still not very funny, to be honest. It's actually really bad at jokes still. But largely, things like that are single purpose, you could see getting picked off here and there, or needing to hire perhaps fewer people to do the same thing, again, for really single purpose things. But if there's a job which most jobs require multiple things you need to do, in an order, and there's reasoning and planning and action between systems. AI is nowhere near ready to take that over. So I think that hiring, I wouldn't expect there to be major differences in the next year.
So let me add my take here, Sylvia. What I have observed that definitely AI can help you to like what Misha mentioned, right? It can help you to achieve the goal faster. So it will enhance your capability faster than your traditional approach, right? So in short, it will increase your throughput, not it will replace you. That's what I felt, over last 2 years when I was kind of exploring the AI field and especially generative AI. I was kind of exploring that, and that is so there will be always one auditor, some kind of in form of human intervention is required because you don't know the bias and the kind of response that sometimes AI provides, right? Now, regarding hiring, definitely there are some way you can streamline the recruitment. So I would say two places where you would see potential increase of AI usage. One is like hiring, and other is like resource retention, right? So hiring, how you can kind of synchronize that. So many times we have observed whenever we join in certain company, new company, right? And over there, you have a lot of information that you ingest within, say, 7 days or 2 weeks in span. Not everything that you can remember, right? And sometimes we are very hesitant to ask the same questions to each other, okay, how he or she would react because I'm asking the same questions over again and again, right? So if you kind of come up with some kind of AI platform, for example, some kind of chatbot, which kind of give you a customized version of your requirement or onboarding resources, then definitely that would help a lot of people, right? You don't need to ask the same question over and over again, and it will eventually give you some additional information along with the appropriate hyperlink, right? And I think that would help the HR jobs much more easier. So day one, they can definitely onboard the candidate, providing all the insights, along with this kind of agents or chatbot would additionally help them to, onboard the process, onboard the resources, seamlessly. There should not be any additional work that HR has to do that, right? So I think that has a lot of prospect over there. So it will definitely, kind of give not only the HR, also the onboard resource, give a lot more clarity on the process, on the organization structures, or on the specific team as well, right? Or the way how they work, right? There is one more thing that I want to talk about, the retention. So again, many companies, even I have seen that in my company, we are now beginning to introduce some analytics, on that. And those analytics would help you to understand that what is your thought process, how exactly you are performing, and based on that, it can, provide or recommend some sort of, further training, right? And also sometimes it can provide you a future career path as well. So I know that these are pretty initial stage, but every stage is where you get some kind of assistant to boost your career further, to increase your productivity further. So I do believe that it won't replace the job. So it is like, I can tell you, like, it is like a computer stage when for the first time when we have seen computer, we all are scared that, okay, now all our jobs are going away with the computer world, right? And eventually, initially, there is an initial disruptions that happen. But after that time, we have seen the computer world create more job than the traditional, your pen and paper jobs, right? So I believe that this AI, because since we are in a very early stage, so we don't know exactly what are the areas that we will explore the potential opportunities. Right now, we have this concern that what would happen, all of our job security, but I believe that it would definitely transform your job. That's my take.
That's a really good thoughts from both of you. Now, one question that I do have, how AI is not going away. AI is here to stay. Those who are not in this environment yet, do you guys have an advice or resources where they should start looking into so they can get their feet wet? Because like I said, it's not going away. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. Do you all have any tips for those who want to get into this space?
So there's no shortage now of AI influencers on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. There's lots of great videos that help explain it. But honestly, there's really no substitute for just going yourself. You talk about some of the large, very available large language models or foundational models like ChatGPT, Bard, Anthropic's Claude. Some of these that are out there now. When my friends ask me, how do I learn, get involved? I'm just like, listen, when you have a question, that you might ask a person, try to ask AI instead and see what kind of response it gives you. These things are getting better and better. I think before you had to maybe be better at prompting and like do the magical incantation to get the answer that you want in the right way. But they're getting better and better at just kind of getting, the vibe of what you're asking and being able to help you out. Tools now have like web lookup, which is where you can ask it a question. It can go do research itself, read that research, and then come back to you with an answer. One way that I've heard to think about AI is imagine you have like 1,000 graduate student interns at your disposal. Pretty capable, pretty smart, still a little rough around the edges. Still probably got to check their work. That's okay. But pretty capable. I'm personally besides my work, I'm in one of the AI products every day now. Just like, I want a recipe for this thing, but I don't want bananas. I got this thing instead. Or how might I think about this rattling noise I hear from my heater right now in my apartment? There's like it basically can take the sum of human knowledge that it's ingested and try to give you an answer as a person would. So just jump in. It's pretty easy, and there's really no technical skills required.
Thank you.
Let me extend what Misha is saying. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to add some more point what Misha is saying. That's a very interesting point what he mentioned. So what is prompt engineering? Because a lot of people are thinking, oh, what is prompt? We have to understand the prompt engineering. It's cool word like prompt engineering. It's nothing but a fine-tuned questions. The questions, the way you are asking the questions, the computer understand that, interpret that in some kind of numbers, and that numbers fetches some relevant information from the storage, and it provides you in form of simple English language. I'm saying in a very, very broad level how it exactly works, right? Now, what is prompt engineering? So basically, you have to ask whatever the question that is coming to your mind. One thing I would advise everyone, whenever they have certain questions in their mind, ask that question and also ask, provide me a relevant link in support of your answer. I think that is very important for you to understand that the response, whatever it is generating, that is not biased response. That has true meaning and that has true reference to some sources from where it is giving you the answer, right? So always ask these questions, which will give you a probably correct answer. And even if it is giving some kind of incorrect answer, since you are getting the link, you can cross-verify the answer with the link, and that's how you want to know that, okay, whether whatever the answer is given, whether that is correct, whether I should consider that or not. So see, again, there is a manual intervention required. You cannot simply overrule everything dependent on AI. So AI would definitely help you to provide the content, but ultimately it will be you who need to understand whether that is right or wrong. What information should I pick it up?
Wow, those are incredible advices. Thank you so much. That's a great one, Satyaki, especially the links, because we really need to verify, is this legit or not? So thank you for that. A question that we have, how are leaders dispelling fears around AI replacing manual jobs and displacing existing employees?
Oh, sure. So I think what company like big retail company or any other non-tech company, I would say, right? So we have seen that there is a concern, like whether we will lose the job, right? So how you can, address those fears? One is like, you have to be proactive in dialogue, right? So leaders has to talk with the members, individual members, try to understand that with empathy, try to understand that why they're afraid of that, okay? What is the rationale for their thinking? Maybe they might have some valid point as well, okay? Try to answer that and honestly respond to that. I think that would be a very, interesting aspect, right? And second one, I do believe that, you need to kind of provide a platform for them to upskill their development as well, right? Because once you are talking about introducing a AI tool or AI tech stack, but you don't have a proper path to teach them and upskill them, then probably that fear makes sense for them, right? That is one. Now, always try to identify small, winning point. For example, with the help of AI, you have achieved something. Even no matter how small that success ratio, project that. Okay, so people will understand that. Okay, with the AI now, maybe previously I used to spend 50 hours. Now within 10 hours, I'm delivering the same thing with much more better quality. Why not? Okay, so and also identify them and give them some kind of credit, maybe in terms of some kind of reward point, something like that, to encourage people to look into that, jump into this AI dragon, and then explore the capability. One thing I can, like, what I have witnessed within last 1.5 years, that there are so many low hanging fruits that can easily, or so many manual jobs that can easily I would say managed by AI solutions, without going through dependencies, right? Let me do one more options here. So many times, and it happens most of the times, it happens with the developer or engineers, like they have a object, they have some kind of functional requirement, they need to deliver that. And many times what happens, to deliver, to target that goal, we have to first prepare the pitch, and it kind of give us a lot of, we have to spend so many time for additional things before we focus on the entire or the original goal, I would say, right? So instead of that, if you kind of give them this platform, that will, you can directly put more focus on that and project this kind of benefit to those people. Definitely that will help everyone to understand that, and probably the fear will recede over time. That is my take.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Misha, any words?
Yeah, I mean, my hope and expectation is that it'll make jobs better. Because in all of our jobs, no matter how much we love them, there are like annoying things we have to do that are kind of draining and repetitive, and just kind of like separates the the thinking and the skills, what we really like, and what drives our mastery as humans. But then there's the grunt stuff we got to do. And AI is a tool that can help with that. One of my favorite analogies that one AI writer talks about is that an AI is like a calculator for words. In the same way that a calculator gives you relationships and insights and answers between numbers, large language models give you that for words. And it's just a tool at the end of the day. It feels human, right? Because it talks to us, understands things. It's a little bit unsettling at first because that's what it feels like. But at the end of the day, in no way can any AI systems do fully or even close to fully any of the complex nuances of our jobs right now. And so, when there's stuff that it's like annoying report that you have to write. Again, don't just say AI write the report for me, because it's probably gonna do a bad job. It doesn't have all the context. But if you're looking for, hey, help me structure how this thing ought to be, what ought to be the sections of this thing. Oh, I wrote this thing, how might I make it a bit better? Or give me a first draft that I can work from. Those things all make our jobs nicer, faster, and better. So hopefully, I think it's just, personally, for all of us, going to be serve us better to be more curious and dive in and really be among the first to know how to use these new tools really well, rather than be afraid of them.
Thank you. Speaking of tools, there's new tools for AI every day. I feel like every hour there's a new one popping in. So what are the best new AI tools that organizations should be on the lookout for, Misha, in your opinion?
Well, so these are evolving so fast. I mean, there's new stuff. If you subscribe to any of the many AI newsletters, there's new things every day. I get stressed out, trying to keep on top of them.
Everybody's trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Have so many readings to catch up.
Totally. I'd say that the main things are, get familiar with, just the foundational large language models, Bard, ChatGPT, Claude. There's other ones too, but those are, Mistral's a new one as well. These are really good to get generally familiar with. Besides that, I do expect that we're going to have more AI built into the tools that you already use, more so than have to adopt new tools. There will be some in that regard, but most problems that exist in the workplace have some sort of tooling behind them, if they were addressable at all. And so, it's much easier to build AI and like shortcuts and things into those, because they already have distribution, they already have user bases. People already know how to use them. So I mean, I think it's good to become familiar, to keep an eye out for new tools, and that kind of helps stay on the pulse of things. But by and large, the foundational models are good. There's in the workspace there is some caveats, because a lot of times your employer won't allow you to bring proprietary data into these systems, because the policies aren't always clear. People aren't always sure, like, will this be used to train future versions, and then will my data be part of that? So totally get some hesitancy around that. But I see more and more things like sort of understanding that, that more and more vertical specific tools are popping up. And for that, you just got to know your own industry, and keep an eye on that. Or just keep a lookout for AI to come into the tools you already have.
Awesome, thank you, Satyaki. How about you? Any favorite tools?
Yeah, so for us, since we are more of a retail company, right? So we are pretty careful about what tools we are going to use. And one of the points that Misha mentioned, that the security, end-to-end enterprise level security, because we cannot introduce all the tech stack instantly, even if it launches, and even if it cools, right? So we have to be a bit cautious over there what tech stack that you are planning to use. But like what Misha mentioned, I'm just extending his point only. For example, we are more of an Azure shop, and we know that we use Teams for our communications, right? Microsoft Teams. And we have seen that now Teams is mature enough to kind of summarize the entire meeting conversation, and also kind of identify and analyze the sentiment of the meeting discussions as well, right? So it is evolving. So everyone is working on that front. So no matter what tech stack that you are using it, so everyone is working towards that path. Sometimes knowingly use it, sometimes you unknowingly use that, but it is happening. Besides identifying tech stack, but I would say if someone is want to know what are the latest tech stack, there are plenty of platform on YouTube, or in even on some summit, you can monitor what are the latest tech stack that is coming on the AI field. I think that way you can get to know what are the upcoming features that it is providing. But to me, I would say, since AI is not something new, it was for quite a long time. We have the AI. Now, why we are talking about AI? Because of Gen AI, the large language models. That kind of create a whole new perspective of AI. Before that, we have AI, and even before ChatGPT, we have implemented so many AI analytics, advanced analytics dashboard. Probably many of the company has done that, right? They have written some kind of machine learning model, and those model is nothing but AI, right? Those modeling is model generating the predictive output to the various cases. For example, someone is providing what is the sales recommendation for next week, something like that, right? But the popularity grows because of the GenAI. Why? Because now a non-technical person can ask and can use the technology in a very seamless manner, like just like a conversation, English conversation, right? That's why AI is now super popular, right? And I would say explore the recent events, explore any new tech shows, or also some YouTube channels. Definitely give you context on what are the latest tech stack, because that's why I'm mentioning that there are multiple area AI is enriching. Even let me give you one more example. If someone is fond of photography, okay, and if they're using Adobe, probably they should have known that now Adobe has that text to image enhancement options as well. I think that is in preview, but I was watching that couple of months back, but maybe that come as a full grown solution. So with that, someone who used to manually edit the photo, which used to take like 3-4 hours, now with a single simple English prompt, within fraction of seconds you are doing the same thing. So again, depending on your area, depending on your interest, so search internet, you would get definitely relevant tech stack recommendations.
That's true. Now, Satyaki, we're going to talk about motivation and productivity. In what ways can AI boost employee motivation and productivity? If you can share any examples, including existing career development programs, etc., that would be great as well.
So I believe that there are many places. Like for example, some of the cases I have seen that that depending on your career aspirations, right? AI can understand your career aspirations, and based on that, it can provide you a guideline to a certain path, right? For example, I am more of a technical person. I want to be, say, some kind of principal architect or maybe something more than that. So if you come up with a proper AI platform, and if you kind of come up with that, your current status, if it knows, then that platform would give you that, okay, now you have to do this, and that would, ultimately enable you to provide into this, a principal architect kind of role. Similar kind of things would happen for other areas as well. So I think now it will be much more easier. So sometimes what happens, we don't have the clarity, because if it is bigger organizations, sometimes you might not have a full clarity that how you want to go to point A to point B. And in that case, I do think that AI can definitely enable that propositions for you well.
Perfect. Misha, how about you? Any thoughts?
I would expect more tools to be coming online in maybe this year that will help us sort of figure out our best work selves based on what we actually do and produce. Like I think back to in high school when you fill out a Scantron and like 20 questions says you should be an architect, or like some high level thing like that, right? It's like how would it know that? But imagine if you had a career coach that was that was willing to look at all your stuff, every email, every document, every chat, everything you produced, and look at kind of your job and help you figure out like how can you be better, how can you improve yourself, like what else might you like to do, or how might you improve your current role as well. I would expect more and more of those because now we have, AI is infinitely patient and willing to read all your things and think about it and give you advice. So I don't know of any great tools yet that are commercially available, but I would expect this probably this year, like looking at the rate of development of all these AI coaches and tutors and everything. It's got to be enterprise grade secure. It's got to, you got to be able to put I do not recommend downloading your work emails and putting them into ChatGPT. That is not a good idea. But something that can actually directly interface with that. And I would imagine companies would want to adopt these things so that their employees do better and are happier. So I think resources like this are going to come along to help us all have better careers.
That's amazing. That's so true. I think a lot of parents would think, if there was such a tool before their kids go to college and then midway they change the major because it wasn't me. I think it would, save the parents so much money or on the student itself, or they actually focus on what they're good at, the attributes, instead of what some paper thought they should be. That's amazing. I hope something like that does exist, and I'm sure it's around the corner. I'm sure it's already here. We don't know yet, but I'm really excited about that. That's a good one. Now, Misha, another question that we have: how are leaders incorporating other languages for ChatGPT and other tools to be more inclusive?
So I know that ChatGPT supports, I think it's over 50 languages at this point. And so, I would, it's not the same as like a translator. It's the same like next token prediction in that language. I don't know this for sure. I would imagine that, look, an AI is as good as the corpus of content it's trained on. So like more widely spoken languages are going to probably have better performance. Just they have more data and more examples to be trained on. I might. It's a tricky one because I think you probably could have AI be like, hey, for my employees that speak this language, help me come up with something there. The challenge is that you still kind of got to verify things because it still might be off, and you definitely don't want to be sending the wrong thing. So I might imagine systems that come online that have sort of a adversarial model where you have something that writes something that goes into the language and another model that checks it to make sure it's okay. I don't know that I'd super recommend doing that yet for output in a language that you don't understand because it's just, you're probably gonna get yourself in trouble. But I do love it for ultimately breaking down barriers between people because as we get better and better at, as AI gets better at speech to text, text to speech, in all these different languages, it really makes it so there's, as long as you have like a device between you or an AirPod or something, almost no a barrier between being able to communicate on a human level with someone else, even if you don't speak a word of each other's languages. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
I do agree with Misha here. We have to be a little bit careful over here regarding the inclusion of multiple multilingual content, I would say. And one of the factors that we have to be very careful about the bias, because that would be tricky across different geographies. So, and how you kind of respond to those bias, that is another thing that we have to be careful of. But I do believe that there are some places where I think there are some initiatives in UNESCO, probably they are kind of using multilingual support for education purposes. They are kind of promoting certain, initiatives over there. But yes, I do agree that, we have to be a little bit careful about how we kind of, include everything over here at this moment.
Awesome. Now, another question that we have, how do you address in reluctance to change from employees, Satyaki?
Sorry, what's the question?
Yeah. How do you address any reluctance to change from employees?
So I would say that that's what we have to be, first we have to engage with the employee, right? That we need to understand that what is the reason that why they are so reluctant, right? Let them show the shorter cases, like let them show what are the benefit that he or she is having after, applying, AI technology in his or her field. And maybe give them small assignment, right? And once they successfully deliver that, no matter how small is that, recommend them in some kind of small contribution or awards, right? Which give them more confidence, which give them more positive for that specific technology, right? And that and also hear what they are saying. Sometimes it might happen that they might have some valid input as well. So consider all those factors. I think definitely they would try to change their aspect on specific this Gen AI, I would say.
Awesome. What you, Misha?
Yeah. So look, I mean, I know that initially maybe a lot of companies were, reluctant for it, but now companies have been like, well, there's a business advantage here. We can do things better, so we should encourage it. I've heard it going like probably too far. I heard about one leader that required everybody to try to use it, and if they didn't use it within 30 days, they got fired. That's too far. That's just too much. But I would imagine that this thing like it would naturally gain natural adoption because we all want to do better in our jobs. We're all like, even though we're collaborative, like with our colleagues, it's still, you're competitive with yourself. You want to do better and better. And if your colleague and people around you are just inherently getting more done faster and better, and you're not, you're going to start to notice and feel left behind. And so I don't think it's going to require loads of encouragement because somebody in an organization is going to be like, you know what, I should really use this. And it's going to drive, I think, everybody else to adopt as well. The same as we've adopted every other technology tool. And now none of us can live without docs or spreadsheets or, or slides or whatever it is we use in our jobs. I think it's just going to be the same way. It's going to be a very natural adoption curve.
Awesome, thank you.
And
So
can I add you one and add one point here? What Misha said, that's a very interesting point. And also I would like to add one more point here that not everything is GenAI compatible. So you need to understand that. I know that people are talking about GenAI and AI, ChatGPT solutions, but you have to know where it can be applicable and where it cannot. Okay. So I recently I was reading through a Gartner report, and I have seen a significant percentage of projects in enterprise level GenAI solutions fail because either they are not in the right place or they didn't implement it correctly. So we need to understand that aspect as well. So yes, there are places where you can definitely take the advantage of GenAI, okay, and you can definitely get a lot of benefit, a lot of throughput faster. But there are places where till now it's not that much applicable. Maybe we are waiting for certain model or certain product that needs to come up. So careful about those policies and implement it wisely where it is applicable and where it is not.
Thank you. We're going to jump into Q&As, and there's two questions here that I'm going to combine. One of them says, I've been impressed with how AI is streamlining efficiency by handling repetitive tasks, allowing employees to tackle more complex challenges. Yet, the integration of AI with existing employee software still needs work. I'm optimistic about future advancements improving this integration, significantly transforming our work practices. Curious to hear others' thoughts on AI's evolving role in our workspaces. Would you like to take that, Satyaki or Misha?
Sure. So yeah, that's a good point. So when you're talking about implementing some AI technology, so two places where you can implement. One is like day-to-day in your own work, where you can definitely implement that and you can excel your productivity faster. Another is like enterprise level implementation, right? I think what you are suggesting, that part is applicable for enterprise level implementation, where you have a predefined sets of different component already tied together. Now, leveraging the same framework, how you can expose the same capability to your AI component so that you get some additional benefit out of it. And that, I agree, that requires some development work or enhancement work. So again, our first point, like AI is not going to replace you. Definitely, it will give you more opportunity. This is one of such examples what we are talking about. Now, the other part, which is like personal front, suppose you want to type some emails, but like Misha mentioned a couple of minutes back, definitely, or maybe you are preparing some draft PPT, definitely go for it. Try to get the initial content boilerplate, and then from there you can do that. For that, I don't see a reason to integrate with something else. Probably that you can do it isolatedly.
Awesome, thank you, Misha. Do you think let's do one question per panelist, if that's okay? So
Sure.
I really want to ask this question. I think it's important. It goes with the theme. Will AI really impact the hiring process in a notable way?
The hiring process. Well, I would imagine that, when you think about the types of things that people submit, initially to get a job, you can imagine AI, doing better analysis of this. Now, of course, there needs to be take great care taken about this. I think there was an example several years back where Amazon was there was like a class of employees that, because of certain keywords on the resumes, like it was actually like systemically like influencing the pass rate of resumes through a system. So so that can be problematic. I think probably those systems are like getting looked at. I would imagine things like when you have a discussion, you have an interview, you're talking for an hour. Right now you're kind of relying on the interviewer to, step back, take their own, try to think about everything that was discussed in that hour, and give a synthesis, and try not to, put their own bias into it, which we're all humans. Like, we all have our own set of experiences and likes and dislikes that can certainly influence that process. But now, speech to text is getting very good, like almost flawless. And so you can take, an entire, not only interview, but set of interviews, like a whole day of interviews, turn that into text, run that through some systems, and try to understand, like, how fitting is this candidate for this role. Over time, you can start to develop understanding of, well, based on previous predictions and how well those actually turned out with those candidates, turned employees, what can we learn going forward? So I don't think that the process is going to be loads different. Like, I think we'll still, for a long time, be interviewed by other humans and not by robots. But we may have some help. Almost the same as just having an expert that you can consult, like an employment specialist, on, hey, cool, I did these interviews, but like, help me think through this. Like, is this person going to be the best fit for this job? So a lot of it will be behind the scenes, but hopefully it'll result in better matching between employers and employees and better outcomes for everybody.
Awesome, thank you. I know we only have a couple minutes, but I do have a question that I think it's also important. Instead of finding new talent, how can AI help reallocate existing talent skill sets?
Well, I think that's kind of a tricky here because again, we need to understand that you are talking about reskilling of certain employees, right? Because and that's where you need not only you need an AI tech stack, you need a company policies as well that supports that transition. Like, for example, if someone is working on XYZ branch and he or she wants to work in a different area, so how he or she get the transition, that not only with the help of AI, it's a combination of AI plus company policy management all together. Then that will give the payment. Because right now we don't, like what Misha mentioned, we don't have a proper tech stack that seamlessly identify, okay, this is the person who should be in this area. It's not, still not, we are not in the mature level that way, okay? So there are multiple ways you can do that. So one thing is talk to your immediate manager, share your aspiration. That would be the first phase. And then with the help of AI, you can get some, proper path that, okay, if I want to go in this direction, what are the, say, for example, some certification, I'm just bringing it up, right? For a technology person, you need to know certain certification you have to do in order to, aspire for certain position. So in that case, you can take the advantage of AI to go through that route, understand what are the places maybe you have some lagging, and then probably you need to upscale those area, you need to fine tune those area, and then go for that route. So still now it's not that mature, but it's a combination of policy, strategies, and AI would combine these together to find out your right area. But I can tell you that maybe from 2 years from now, you would see definitely that kind of a complete integrated tools which would be able to understand your, based on your current work, pattern, your deliveries, and your, all your contributions. It will able to predict you what is the best possible way, what is the best possible path where you should go. Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts from our panelists that you would like to say to our audience?
Get out there, get your hands dirty. It's fun. It's interesting, and it's not going anywhere. It's going to make us all better, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. How about you, Satyaki?
I would say, even if you think that, if you're hesitant, check your passion. Like, if you like photography, if you like do anything, go to the corresponding area, see how AI is helping you over there. At least try to understand, try to get the feeling of that what AI can do. And then probably that would give you more confidence and, and kind of give you, your perception might be changed. And of course, there are plenty of, channels on YouTube. Just explore them and try to understand that how, you can leverage AI in your specific field, and try to explore one or two products. And these are always free. I mean, for a starter, you get at least for a couple of months or 1 month or 2 months free. Explore this tool as much as you can. I think that should be the best way to, learn.
We got some great advices here. Thank you both so much for being here with us today. I would like to thank you both, and thank you for the audience for tuning in. Thank you, everyone.
Great. And thank you guys for such an insightful panel discussion. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event.